Okay, got an animation now where things are going every which way. Whoopee. Okay, let's say I want to change this from X to Y. Here I can copy. I'm just going to cut this variable, replace it over the 200, and put the 200 there. And so now, it falls down. So if I did the same with the other here, cut, paste it right over that, and change this instead of the same number as the other. I should get this like, ooh, they're going in opposite directions there. And here, let's just have them both go in the same direction there. There. So I create like this dripping effect or whatever, right? Okay, and then say I want when they go off the screen, they get set back at the top, right? Okay, so let's do that real quick. After I update, oops, so after I do the update there, we're just going to add our if statement in there. We'll say what? If this is greater than the screen height, that this equals 0. I'm just going to do it kind of penciled in real quick. And then pretty much the same thing for this one. Yes. So instead of X, it would be Y ball. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I say instead of 1, it would be 2. Here, instead of that, it would be 2. Okay. So restart. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. So now we have like a couple of water drips. Right. Okay. So if, let's say, we wanted to add more drips, let me bring my size down just to say 10 there. You know, have a whole string of drips. Okay, then clearly we would what? We would add another variable for one more. I'm going to say one more drip, right? We'll add another variable, and then we're going to have to do all of this for another drip. Right, we have to update its position, and then we have to check some if statement when it goes off the screen, and then we draw that. Okay, so clearly if I want to do like 20 or more, that's going to be a whole lot of code, right, of basically declaring a variable for drip 1, drip 2, drip 3. Hang on a second here. I'm going to say ball. I'm going to control F and call this drop, right? And then control F, I'm sorry, I did that wrong. There, call this drop. Control F again, replace all. There, now it's drops. See, the variable names are appropriate. The only thing that isn't appropriate is this should all read Y instead of X, right? So if I control F on the X, control F again, replace it with Y, right? I'm going to go replace all. Okay, now X all. Replace all. There. So problem with that is if there was any instances where it might have been used somewhere else, you know, you're going to have a little problem with your text. I'm going to undo that real quick. So the way to do that, let me go back. Another way to do that, of course, would be to grab that, control F, make it case sensitive here. See, so now it's only going to look for X's that are the capital X in there, right? And I'll go control F again, replace all. Whoops, replace all. There we go. And now it replaced all the X's with Y, you see, and not the lower case one, okay? But this does illustrate a really good reason why you shouldn't create vague variable names like that, you know, because if I wanted to, for whatever reason, you know, find and replace my variable, right? Observe also I can scroll up and down. It's going to replace things all over the place. You see, so, but, you know, if this was something a little more descriptive, then that's a lot less likely to happen. You follow? Okay, great. So going back to problem with adding a whole lot more drops. I have to make another variable, I have to make another speed, make another update, draw another point. Okay, so if I'm going to do a whole bunch of them, that's going to be a lot of code and a lot of redundant work, right? So just about any time you find yourself doing anything over and over in coding, there's probably another way to do it. In this case, instead of working with a bunch of individual drop variables, we can instead make something that is drops. And to do that, we're going to declare similar, we'll say drops is an array. And you do that by making a pair of brackets like that. And I'm sorry, drops there. So now the way I like to think of an array is kind of like a deck of 3x5 cards or something, where you can put a bunch of values and then access them one at a time, in whatever way you need to. In this case, we want to put some variables in there, like the ones that are here. And so like one way to do that is to just put the variables in there directly. We're going to say 0, and then I'm going to add another one in there too, 150, say, and then 300. Okay, so there's another neat little trick. I showed you in a previous tutorial how to print something to the screen using text. There's a much faster way to do that. I'm going to copy this variable here, and outside of the draw function here, it's called print line, and then inside there we're going to tell it what to print in a variable, and it opens up this little thing called a console window that allows you to quickly, if you want to see what some variables are or whatever, so you can quickly update. Where's the one that we're updating here? Drop Y. Let me just now if I put drop Y in there, I'm outside of the draw loop, so I'm not seeing the update, so in this case I can cut that and stick it here inside the draw function, and there you see it's continually updating. Now if I turn it off here, it stores that whole kind of history. I think it's about 256 back, or 512. There's a maximum number of characters or lines or whatever that it'll store, but you got a little history there of what your variable printed out, so you can go and see if you're getting the data that you expected from your variable or whatever. So that's pretty handy there. So I've got my array here, right? I can use my print line command there. Let me just cut that out of there and put it back up here at the top so I can see what's in my array. There. Array print line drops. Restart. Boom. There. That's what's in my array. I was like, wait a minute, that don't make sense. And it shows you what is stored in there. Right now I have these 3 different values in there, right? And I've printed out the entire array, so it's showing me the contents of that array. I could also access individual cells in this array. For instance, let's say if I want to access the first cell in this array, it's not 1 because they start numbering from 0, so it'd be 0, 1, 2, like that. So if I want to see the value of the first, it printed it, but there's a bunch of zeros there already, so let's look at the second one instead. There, it prints out 150. Why is it printing everything twice? I'm sure there's a reason. Just hit restart, it'll print 1 time. There you go. See? And if I want to see the value of the third array slot, that would be, remember, 0, 1, 2. See? So I'm going to look at the value of the second, of the last array slot. There it is, value of 300. I could also find out how many objects there are in this array here, for instance, by saying drops.length, like that. whoops, a very common mistake. L-E-N-G-H. L-E-N-G-H. Length. Ah, whoops. T-H, not H-T. T-H, there. The length is 3, right? So that, I know how many drops I have in my array currently. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so now let's use that data here inside our drops array, and we can create multiple drops. So here we already have our Y data stored in drops, right? So we can access that Y data here by using a for loop. Okay, so in for loops, of course, we can. I'm going to go to the documentation all the way down at the bottom, all the way down here at the bottom, and grab this real quick. Oops, it won't let me grab that. Oh, it's too bad. I have to go load the page. Okay, well, I probably could have typed it faster. Okay, I'm showing you how to cheat here. Okay, great. I want a for loop right here, right there. I got a for loop that draws 8 dots, but that's not exactly what I want to happen here in my for loop. Instead, we're going to use the length of our array. Right, yeah, I just showed you how to access the length of our array. For every object in our array, we're going to loop through, and now we want to do each of these things here. So before it was drop Y equals speed. Now it's going to be one of the drops position, right? We know, of course, that the first one would be drops 0, right? Okay, but now we're iterating through the array using a for loop, so it's the value of this, right? So I'm going to just say, cut that out, put that in there. And so instead of accessing each value in the array numerically, I can use my array value. So there. Now it's going to iterate through drops, each item in drops, you see. So now I can say drops I plus equals speed Y here. See? So now I can update each of them. Okay. And the same statement, if statement here, right, is going to apply to the value of my drops. If the drops value is greater than the height, then set drops value to 0. You see, there we go. So now I can have as many items as I want in my drops array. See, I've eliminated all of this. Let me hit restart. Oh, hang on. Wait, I did not. Here, I need the point. Got to make my point. There we go. Here we go. Copy that into my array. Lastly, we need to draw our drop here. So instead of drop Y, it'll be drops I. There you go. Now we have numerous objects, and these are redundant code. There's the 3 objects in our array. I'm going to close. Hang on. I'm going to close my console window here now. And so no longer need the variables. No longer do I need to be printing things to the screen. So this can go away now. There we go. So now, again, we're iterating through each item in the array there. See? So I can add as many items in here as I want now. I can say 200, see? And that'll add another item in the array, right? Let me just go print line. Inside there, we're going to get the length of the array. Drops.len gth length there. So it's I have a length of 4 objects in my array now. Let me hit restart there. 4 objects in my array, yes. So if I want to add a couple more, 15, oops, forgot the comma. There. Now there's 5 objects in my array. There we go. That is basics of arrays.